because all writers are clearly blind and wear suit jackets. Hi guys, so I promised to make Dyslexic sort of theme videos a few months ago. I didn't because I was trying to struggling for a proper theme, but I finally figured out one, and this one was probably the obvious one. Writing. So this is basically tips for writing, kind of mostly on the spelling front of how to conquer trying to write while dyslexic. And I'm going to take these off before I continue anymore because I'm not that blind yet. And these are for long-sighted. Sexy scarf removal. Because I'm not worth it. This feels better. This is more what a writer actually looks like. A fumbling mess. Well, that's me anyway. So basically, I've been writing before I could read. I've been writing books as a since I was like 5-ish, I guess. 4 maybe, I don't know. But that kind of young dramatic age. But obviously I couldn't actually write, so what I used to actually do was just, I would like draw stories, like illustrate, which is another thing I'm kind of interested in, other than writing in books. Well, illustration is kind of books, but yeah, I'm also interested of the illustrating nature of books, not just as well as writing. But moving on, so basically I used to draw and then get someone else to kind of write. So basically I would draw my stories out and annoy people to do writing. The main part of writing is, you know, storytelling. That's actually an important part of my story. And this is, like I said, this stuff will actually be helpful as well for essay writing, you know, anything that you might actually have to do with school. But this is kind of like just tips and helpful things that I find really helpful to do, and kind of how I've learnt to adapt. This is also kind of going back a few years. I have my spelling and stuff and general writing has came on a lot in the past 4 years or something, but obviously this took time, and just I still will always be dyslexic, so I still have major blockages. I think the most important one is don't be afraid to misspell words. Sorry, there's a bit of glare on my camera and I don't know why it's being bad, but it is because my camera doesn't like me, so sorry if it goes a bit out of focus. Nothing I can really do about it. Because I don't get why he's doing it. I'm perfectly in focus. It's not like I'm doing anything like covering with books or that. So it's just being mean. Anyway, to the point. This is going to sound really silly, but don't be afraid to misspell words. Like, if you honestly don't have any idea how to spell a word, just move on. Don't just sit there stuck because you're just eating on time, and like, if you're in the middle of a flow of things, you're just going to damage yourself trying to think of a word and you might have no clue how to spell it. It's fine. Just leave it. Just write something that will remind you what this word is and give you a hint when you're going back. So it doesn't matter as long as you know what that word is meant to say, because then you can go annoy somebody. But I do have a few helpful tips to make you an independent speller of sorts. You know, like you don't have to go bug someone and ask them, how do you spell sock? Yeah, I once forgot that, and even though you're dyslexic or whatever, it's really embarrassing to go up and say, I don't know how to spell this word. It's in a school environment especially, so you've always get into high school, you might have just presumed to know how to spell everything. But maybe you have someone that helps you with your spelling, or you're just like, you know, eventually you just get fine with bugging everyone. But I didn't. In school I would bug my family, but yeah, I just learnt how tricks to get around my terrible spelling. I feel some things that I used to do would I just used when I was much, like when I just really started grasping the written word. What I used to do would just be put the first letter, or just the sound of it would be so help me remember what the word was. So that's kind of the thing you should just do when you're writing it. And like I say, it doesn't matter if anyone else can't read it as long as you know what you meant instead. And like it just like years later you come back to something you when you were 12 and think, what the hell was I going on about? It's a fun little game, and then you realise, yes, that's the word I meant, and I can spell that fine now. And I think if you have a lot of trouble remembering a specific word, like for some strange reason, since you just, for whatever reason, can't get that 5-letter in your head, this is a kind of school recommended thing, that you keep a dictionary of all the words that you have trouble with. I used to have a dictionary, don't use it anymore, but it was kind of sort of helpful, so instead of just like having to look up this word every time you can't write it, you just write down the words you're having trouble with and keep a note of it. And like a notebook, I guess I would do, just in a way that you would understand anyway. I suppose you, in theory, you could take you know those how you get those phone books, you know, in the alphabetical order. You could take one of them and use that for words, you know, and just ignore what's in there, so you know that you've got something that's alphabetical, pain wise, or just a bag notebook would do. Tricks for actually finding words. This is the sort of stuff that I still use now. I have kind of just got better with my writing, but you know, I'm always gonna be dyslexic, and so there will be times where I just can't remember how to spell a specific word, even though I've spelled it 100 times before, or it's a really long word. So basically, tricks for finding the right spelling. Obviously, using a spell checker is a bit of a help. What I kind of do when using this method, like if I kind of have a good idea how this word's spelled, and I would recognise it as soon as I see the right spelling, I kind of just mess about with it until spell checker suggests the word I want. There's also speak programs you can use, like this is always something I've liked. It's basically it'll say whatever you wrote back to you, and if you have Microsoft Word, there is this free one called Word Talk, and I'll put a link to download, and I think basically you can download that wherever you are. It's English, obviously. I don't know why I'm saying that, but I think it is a Scottish program, but it's free to download anywhere, and it'll take the computer voice that's whatever one's on your computer. So that's free if you have Microsoft Word, but obviously that costs money. And that also kind of helps with grammar, as well as telling you, like, maybe you have a word that is correct but that's not the word you intended. It'll kind of like make sure that you have used the right word. Google. Sometimes if spell checker doesn't have the word, if you write it in Google will actually give you the word, because their spell checker is different than, say, Microsoft Word. Also, another thing to do, if you know a phrase where that particular word's in it, I can't think of an example right now, but if you know this word is in this particular phrase, then you just like try writing that into Google, and sometimes like it will eventually come up, and that will give you the word. Another thing, if you, basically, you know, sometimes being dyslexic, you want to use this big word and you have no idea how to spell it. But basically I'm saying don't dumb yourself down just because you have this word in your vocabulary but you have no idea how to spell it. Still use it, but I use a thesis. Like, obviously you've got online ones that are quite good. That's the ones that I tend to use because obviously, I guess also you can use a dictionary if you have some idea how a word's spelled and you're not got example to an online programmer or a computer. That's another thing. I don't particularly use it because I'm kind of a computer sort of person now, and I always had scribes and exams and stuff. But for thesis, if it's like you want this long word or just you want this particular word and you know the alternative, like you know the actual meaning to it, so if you write down like the meaning of the word, it should come up in the thesis. So that's something I use a lot. That's the thing I probably use the most often nowadays, because that's kind of the stage I'm at. So basically that's all the tricks of my trade. Hopefully that'd be helpful. If anyone basically wants me to talk a specific part like of dyslexia and books and exams and stuff and just want kind of my opinion of it from my experience, just like message me or comment down below of any specific questions you have or suggestions of what you would video ideas that you would like to see, because like I'm basically happy to help with anything. That's all for now. Bye.